Hey everybody, it's Jordan with PDQ.com. Today we're going to talk about how we can make our packages just a little bit more dynamic. This is something we've covered a little bit in the past, but I'll be honest, the developers on our product do a fantastic job of just the things that we had to find kind of workarounds for just are now innate in the product. So we're going to try to get some, new ideas in there to help you, just make your packages work just a little bit better for you. All right, so the first thing that we went over is, and we've gone over this in PowerShell a couple of times, is flow control or testing to see if something is there. We have things where it looks for a registry key or if it's in a collection built into the package, but if there's something like, let's say you're adding something for Outlook and Outlook can't be running for that case, you can go and look for the process for Outlook. So there's a couple options where you could put that one. You could just come into the new package here and just make the first step be a PowerShell step, and then just put in there just like get process. The process starts with a P. That's why I make the big bucks there.
You know, you make me feel good that I'm not the only one.
And then we'll do name. We'll just do Chrome instead of Outlook because I don't know the name of the process for Outlook off the top of my head, so we'll just put Chrome in there for now. And that one, I'll let you know if that process is running. That's not really, it's just basically come back as like, yeah, that's the process, or it'll throw up an error that's non-terminating, so it'll move on anyway. So what you're going to want to do with that is you can do like a if statement. So just if, man, I really should have done this in ISE. I don't know if I can trust my blind typing here. If process, you could put something in, it depends on how aggressive you want to be. You could basically, if the process is running, you could have it just basically error out with a throw. Apparently, I need to pay attention to what I've already typed. Chrome is running. So if that when you come there, it finds the process, it's going to stop the package there and give you the error Chrome is running. But if you want to get more aggressive, say you could also basically, if the get process, and I didn't put this in there, but the error action silently continue just to hide the error, because if Chrome is not running and you do get process, it will come back and say process doesn't exist. So error action silently continue, just to kind of avoid the error. So instead of just throwing and canceling the package say failure, you can then do there and stop and do like a stopped process. I promise I'll get this highlighted. Just a stop process, and then what did I say the name was? Chrome, right? Chrome. Yeah.
Now, process-wise, there's a lot of things. Run something if the process is running, run something if it's not, and all these you can obviously do using this kind of a PowerShell.
Yeah. So with the if statement, basically you just if, and then it tells you if the process is running, and then you can do whatever you want from there. Whether it's stop, if you're looking for a process that has to be running, then you're going to be looking for, you do if, and then I believe exclamation point. Basically, if it's not running, then you can start the process. It's just kind of a way, if there are dependencies for your installs that you can't necessarily count on being there, you can kind of check your system on where it could be. And there's a few areas you can put that one. And this one we did step one, and then next one you do a step of an install step. Or if you wanted to have even more control, you could do the install part in the PowerShell as well. You're just gonna, we do a lot of the logic around that for you with the package. You just want to make sure you get a lot of it over there. If it's an MSI, your silent parameters are going to be the same. If it's not an MSI, you're probably going to look up those just like you'd have to with creating an install step.
Now with your get process, right? The full contact way to do that is to just do a task kill, right? So this gives you much more control of doing something different than just a task kill.
Yeah, and there's the danger of if you check for the process and you kill it and the user's there, they might just run it again. And if that is a dependency, then you're gonna run into some issues there. But yeah, it just, instead of just like a task kill, it gives you more control of, you can check to see if it's working, and if it's working, you get a whole bunch more options. If your timeout is set rather aggressively for long periods of time, you could have like a while that process is true and give your customer times. If they close Chrome within any point, then it will move on to the next step. But that's an unknown variable. Like you can't really, especially with Chrome, you can't really expect them to close or to stay off. It's just, if it's something where very particular you can put in there, do this, you're going to want to put a timeout there where it counts up. But if it closes at any point within that process, then it'll just move on with the install without having to do rerun the package at all. And then the other option is if you need to do anything like that for our pre-built packages, we do have the pre-steps. So it's all the same thing. This is what it will run first, where you can do the same tests, the same if statements, all of that.
You know, the nice thing about the pre and post step, when the packages update, your pre and post steps stay with the updated packages, which is great.
Yep. Yeah. So that way you don't have to worry about updating the actual install file itself. We'll do that for you, and all of your pre-work stays the same. If your pre-work is depending on a certain file name that changes, you will have to go and update your pre-steps at that point. But as long as you keep that agnostic, it should just update with you. All right. I guess another thing we can kind of look for is applications we're paying for that aren't being used.
I get that a lot. I mean, every time I'm talking to customers, can you tell me how many? Because, I don't want to pay for Office that's not being used.
Yep. And Office up through, I believe, 2016, each, like Excel, Word, they're all their own executable. In 2019, it's just like this runner service, and it's all within there. So it's a bit more, I haven't figured out how to do it for the more recent Office versions, but for the earlier ones where you can specify exactly where Excel is, then this would definitely work for that. For that one, just coming into the PowerShell here, we're going to actually start down here on line 8. All we're doing is, in this case, we're grabbing Firefox, and then just get item property, and then the last access time. I have noticed in testing this, last access time, because Firefox isn't running, that's why, or is not installed on this machine, that's why I didn't find anything there. But I did find last access time does update, but it's not super consistent. It's similar to the last login with Active Directory. So you're not going to want to have the moment it hits this line, do the uninstall, because that might not be accurate. I see it a lot with, like on my workstation, Snagit, I use quite often, but that one says I haven't used it in a month. So it is something where this will just give you an idea when it's being used, but you want to make sure, you probably want it to be there for a while to make sure that the...
Maybe run it every couple of weeks and make comparisons to see what's been changing.
Yeah, had time for that to clear up. And the other part of this where it might be a problem is if it's part of the startup folder. Every time they start up, it runs these applications. That's obviously not going to be accurate there. They're not necessarily using it. Your computer's just starting it. So I have here just the 4 registry locations where the startup applications are. So if we run those ones here, it should give me a list of, so this one, KeyPass, Security Health, OneDrive, and VMware are all part of the startup location. So if that's showing up and being used all the time, that's not necessarily the case. It's just kind of the last access time gives you some basic useful information, but you're going to want to compare it against...
so you need to weed through the info you get back a little bit.
Yeah, so in that one, if we say we created this startup location as a scanner, profiles, new.
Actually, that'd be pretty good. Also, you run that scanner to find out what's running startup on all those machines, because then you can, go and clean up some stuff you may not want in the startup.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and so it is worth knowing what's in the startup and have a little bit more control. You are going to have to go in and clean that up if you want to get rid of it. It's not, at least with the scan, I don't have a default of what I'm going to put in there for that kind of information on removing, I guess.
Yeah.
It is basically removing a registry entry that will do it in one of those 4 locations, but I don't have that built into here. Yep, time for a question?
Dear Jordan, what are the things to watch for to avoid unnecessary mistakes? Thanks, Marcel L.
Well, for me, the big one, when you're putting in logic to basically trying to put advanced logic in there, if you're wrong, it can go real ugly. So you want to be very sure, especially like the if statement, you want to be very sure that that is as accurate as can be, because if you're running based on that being accurate and there's one character, one line off, it can really mess things up. So you definitely want to be careful with that one.
Second rule, don't be Alexa or Jordan.
Yeah, no typos allowed.
No typos allowed, yeah.
And I would recommend writing all of your scripts in an IDE such as ISE or VS Code. because those will help catch formatting mistakes, and even like VS Code has extensions for PowerShell and it has a spell checker and stuff, so that can help catch a lot of common mistakes.
Yeah, for this one, I don't think there's a lot of risk because you're still running the same install. It's just you want to make sure your logic, if you're putting extra logic in, is very sound. So we're going to come in here for, well, I don't remember what I named that one. Startup applications. I didn't put PS in front of it, even though it's a PowerShell scanner. I broke our own naming convention.
The shame of it.
All right, and
At least you named it, though. Most of the time I got to go, new scanner, great.
I did name it. That was a rare victory for me. All right, so we come into PowerShell and we find what we named it, startup apps. You can see for each one, these are the apps that are set to start with each machine. So it kind of gives you an idea. You can build a collection based on that if you're looking for a certain one. And you could then compare that for the application grab. But as we saw with the PowerShell script that I had, I basically was grabbing based on Firefox, and this machine doesn't have Firefox. That's not real useful. So I was trying to figure out a way that you could build one where you're looking for a whole bunch of specific apps, and it will kind of build on the fly there. And that's one over here. So basically, I'm building I named the variable regex because I'm very clever like that. and all we did is I named it basically what the executable is you're naming for, Firefox, Chrome, and Office Click to Run is what I was talking about for Office 2019. Where you're not getting Excel, it's just one default executable. And then from there, we're doing a get child item. We have an asterisk after program file, so it looks both in 32 and 64-bit program files. A recursive search. Rx and silently continue, because if your antivirus is under the program files, it's not going to let you look at those executables for for obvious reasons. All right, and then at the end here, we're just basically doing where object, and I know filter's better to save time, but filter, at least in the case of get child item, doesn't have the ability to do regex, which is why I piped it over into where object. And basically what we're doing, I put a space there. Basically what we're doing is we're looking at the name and we're matching, it's going to join everything on our list, and it's going to add a backslash or /Z and then a pipe. And /Z basically says, don't look past this point. I did that when I did Chrome or Firefox, like I was firefox.exe.sig, which was also being grabbed. So /Z makes sure it stops right at exe, and then pipe is a regex OR switch, basically. It is OR, right? Yeah, yep. OR switch, yeah. I should know that. I wrote this. All right, and then you can do the same thing, get item property, name, last access time. So with this one, you just basically come in and add whatever executable you want to make sure that executable name is correct or it won't find it. Run that one, and it should, for each one of those, it'll give you the name of the application and the last time it was accessed. So, just to change things up a little bit, I'll do what I always say is best practice. When I make that PowerShell scanner, I'll actually point it to the PS1 file, because me and Colby are now best friends.
Aww.
Took you long enough.
Did Colby come in with the hug bat sitting there like you're going to use the PS1 this time?
Well, it dawned on me that where I lean on him for so much knowledge that I, at a certain point, have to make it seem like I appreciate that, or he's going to stop giving me that knowledge. And then I have to learn it on my own. And
I'm just impressed Colby expressed emotion. Did you hear the awe?
I did.
Jordan's blogs are mostly written by Colby.
So, actually, I come up with the idea, and then I send it to Colby to professionalize it. So,
To professionalize it.
Rest my case.
so if the parameters look like very professionally done, that was Colby. I think, and hopefully Colby will back me up on this one, been getting better at it. So I make an attempt on it on my own, and then he comes in and corrects it. So I think I've been getting more accurate with those, but I can't guarantee that.
Yes, you have been getting better.
See, I can improve.
Score.
Let's see, application, let's see. So point that to the PS1, and I'm going to name it. I'm on fire with the naming thing.
You're on fire today? Nice.
List used. All right, and while I'm scanning this, do we have any other questions that have come in?
Dear Jordan, is there an easy way to use PDQ to deploy a large list of fonts? Sincerely, Tyson B.
Boy, installing fonts is just one of that is a struggle for me.
And we told you it was an exercise, didn't we?
I'm thinking,
So-
how does that, yeah.
So my wife that uses a Mac, which I'm already not real familiar with, has and does a lot of, like, she's actually in marketing other than my claim that I am, has a need for a lot of various fonts. And she asked me to install those one time, and I pretended like I just didn't have the appropriate access because it was a work machine and she can have to get her help desk, but installing
you
fonts
didn't know
is-
how?
Yeah.
To be fair, it's a Mac.
It is a Mac, but I mean, if the company, I don't know.
And I haven't installed
should.
fonts in so long. I mean, font packs come in there. What's the file extension on those?
Yeah, so and that's basically what it's going to be. Just like with any other install, you're going to have to, with that file, look up what the silent parameters to install it is, and make sure they have it. And it's probably going to require a lot of testing. But other than that, if you have those, you can either within a PowerShell go down to each one and have it all in one PowerShell script, or create an install step for each one where you make sure the parameters. If the parameters are all the same, I mean, PowerShell could handle all of those pretty quickly with just you'd set global variables for the silent parameters.
I think we have a blog post on that.
Yeah. In fact, Brett and Andrew just posted links in the chat.
Those, we want to make sure those get into bonus content.
I got to tell you guys, it's hard when you're on the spot to think of this stuff. So it's so good to have such a great team behind us.
That is true. There's a lot of highly technical people here, so even if you're like me, just floundering and saying words, someone will come through with an answer eventually. It makes it very nice. All right, so you see, we created that scanner. We're cycling through. You can see it's going to, most of them either have Chrome or Firefox. This one has the Office Click to Run for Office 2019. It shows up. It looks like that was used, 10 days ago and 12 days ago? Or 11 days ago and 13 days ago, he said with math. But as you can see on this one, Firefox hasn't been accessed since May 19th. So if that's, I mean, Firefox is Firefox, but if that's something that you were paying for, that's worth knowing that something hasn't been used in 5 months and you're paying for that. If nothing else, it can facilitate a call or contact, say, hey, do you use this? And if hopefully they're honest, and you can save yourself some money with the uninstall.
You'll also notice if their stream has been accessed every minute or every other hour all day.
Yeah, I mean, if you ran this on my machine, I think Spotify is the only thing that would be Spotify and Chrome.
You've got the YouTube app on there. What?
Multiple coupon printers.
Multiple coupon printers, yeah.
So now we can have, with that one, we can come in dynamic collection. He said, I asked it like a question, but definitively dynamic collection. And we'll just say Chrome is being used. Oh, send that one away. Here we go. Or I guess Chrome is not being used. All right, and then just come in for the table. You'll find your PowerShell scanner on the table there, last used, and we want basically the name contains Chrome, and apparently I cycled over, and then instead of name, last access time, we'll say before, I think you can do, relative date, 30 days ago.
Yeah. The other thing you would do a report to get your details. When was the last time, if you were just looking for Office was used on all these machines, you get that detail in a report. This, again, I love dynamic collections because it's stuff you can act on, and then details in reports. So.
Yep. Yeah. So the collection populated, as you can see, out of the 34 machines, 15 have Chrome and have not accessed it in 30 days. So just kind of like I said, last access time. It does have the information, but it's about as accurate as you get with the last logon from Active Directory. So you're going to want to give that one some wiggle room. I mean, but if it gets to 5 months, like we saw with Firefox, I think at that point you're safe to remove. All right.
Definitely necessitates a phone call.
Phone call, yeah. Are you using this? And I like how I chose Firefox and Chrome, just because that's what we know we have most readily installed. It's a bad example of when you're looking to remove, but it is an example of how the script can work.
I guess you could also go and rename the executable, and then if nobody calls you,
There you go. So your install step is actually just, it takes the executable on from that collection, if it's in that collection, and renames it.
there you go.
If you don't hear anything in 2 weeks, go ahead and remove it.
Full contact IT.
All right, so this last one, we're basically looking for how we can check to see. It's similar to the if statements, but it's more of we're running a command, we're looking for the results, and we're going to test for those results. In this case, we're doing, we'll keep with the Chrome thing. Is the group policy for Chrome been applied? So here we have the GP result for the scope of computer. If you are going to use the user results, you're going to want to set the scanner to run as logged on user. Otherwise, it's just going to get the results for your deploying account, which is not going to be useful information to you. So this one I specify computer user. You're going to want to change, and we'll go over when we create that one what it's sending out as. All right, and then we're putting an out file, the results into a temp file, and then from there we're just basically we're creating a variable here for the Chrome GPO applied that basically we assume it's not applied to start, and then we're going to start reading through each line. The moment the line says applied group policy objects, we're going to set in applied policies as true, so we know we're looking for actual applied policies, because you can't just say look for our Chrome policy, because it's going to go through applied and unapplied. So then it comes down here, and then line contains the following GPOs were not applied because they're filtered out. We set in applied policies for false. And then basically if it's in applied policies and the line does match Chrome settings, then we change the group policies applied to true. Basically that's going to let us know if the policy we're searching for is applied or not applied. Like I said, I set Chrome settings for this one, but any group policy that you have that you're looking for, or you could do multiples if you're looking for it, and it would search for that to see if it is applied. The reason I came up with this one is my experience with group policy. When you're not sure about it and you don't know if it should be in place, it goes live instantly. If it's something you're confident in and you need it, you're going to be waiting. At least I don't know if anyone else has that experience. I'm sure the time level doesn't actually change. It's just how much I'm watching it. All right, and so now this was the old method where we used to go in and we'd tattoo the registry, which every time we do that, we say, this isn't the best, we don't want to do it, we hope you don't have to. And this would basically, we used to have it would come in here, it'd create the registry path if it didn't exist, and then it would set something, in this case apparently.
I just want to correct one thing. We don't tattoo the registry. We hack the registry. Hack the registry.
Well, I was going to say that, but someone did say Shane was now online, and he would fly in from out of
Just
state to slap me. So I'm going to go with tattoo the registry. And like, it's just, it always feels like a defeat when you do that. Like, if it's a registry that's already there that you're looking for that you haven't built, fantastic. That's incredibly valuable. But if it's something where you're going in and building the registry, I just don't like it.
You're just like, and there's a better way now.
Yeah, so now what we're going to do is we're going to delete the registry part. Oh, I forgot, with the file we created, we're going through and read it. We do at the end in the finally, so even if it errors out, the finally will run. We close the file stream and remove the temp file, so there's nothing to be cleaned up. It will clean up at the end of it. All right, and so at the end of this one, all we're doing is we're coming in, we're saying policy applied equals, and then whatever true or false we set for the Chrome GPO applied. And then we can set this as a PowerShell scanner. So we're going to come in here and save that because I made changes. Files and new. GPO applied. I know this is specifically for Chrome, and I'm not calling out my title, but bad names of scanners is kind of my calling card at this point. And right here, this is where the scan as is. If you were going to be doing user settings, you'd want to set this to logged on user. Otherwise, you're going to be get for who you are deploying as. But for computer, it shouldn't make a difference. Once again, like it's a question. It just
Please, someone correct me.
All right. So once you get a copy to the PS1 file, we'll name it Chrome GPO. And we'll scan with this one as well. And I guess while we're scanning, do we have any other questions? Okay.
Hey Jordan, why do all of the items under Run Report show their keyboard shortcut as Control F5? Sincerely, David R.
Is that the default that we have set to a program for that specific report, or am I misreading the question?
I believe it's a bug.
It's a bug. Okay.
Yeah, that Control F5 should not be showing up. So if you click on Report at the top in the menu,
Okay. Report.
and then Run Report.
Oh, look
See
at
all
that.
those- yeah, those should not be there.
Okay.
I have created an internal bug ticket, so thank you for letting us know.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So that's what bug. We'll have it fixed soonish.
I like this time you
TM?
didn't say bug.
Fixed
it?
eventually.
There's different Control F5s.
Well, so this time I just confidently gave bad information. So then
Is
Colby
that
could.
what it is?
And so see, if we come into the machines here, we're going to look for Chrome GPO. You can see there's a line. It is blank. The policy I named isn't a real group policy, so none of them are actually going to have it applied. But since it's true false in this, it would just show up as a check mark if the policy had been applied. All right, and then basically we can make another dynamic collection off of that one. The same thing. We're still going to
Well,
specify.
and the
port.
nice thing about this, if they haven't been applied, right? So you look for all the ones that haven't had it applied. You can right click on it and run a tool and do a force GP update.
Yep.
Love that.
All right, so Chrome GPO is applied. All right, and so now, and this is all kind of, we're building these dynamic collections so we can have, once again, the dynamic deployments. We're a little bit smarter at the deployment. So there's two options on this one. If you're looking for all the machines that have the Chrome is not being used there and the policy is applied, which is, it's a weird combo. Let's see, but in the example in there, we're looking for these two things. If they do meet both of those scenarios, you can create one dynamic collection that has all those parameters, or you could create a new one that points to is a member of the two collections we just built. So we'll do that method there. So new dynamic, name this one, deploy that crap.
Now there's a name. There's a name you can sink your teeth into.
All right, and you know I should have looked up before I came to this one is how to point to member of collection within the dynamic ones. Well, CFO knows that one off the top of his head. Otherwise,
So Colby taught me one way. You go in the computer table and look for a collection. And you can select it there.
Computer table. Look at that.
The other one is you do a member collection and then name contains or that. But I like the way Colby taught me, which was from the computer, because you get to go select instead of having to type, in my case, which takes way longer than it should. You can select the...
Yeah, selecting is definitely the way to go. All right, so we did that. We'll see if any actually show up in both that updates. Membership's updating now. All right, so we have 3 machines that meet all the parameters from the scans that we have in there. All right, and now we're going to come into the new package we have built. We have the PowerShell one. We're going to remove that one. That was just kind of an example. So we'll kind of remove that step. And we're going to, instead, we're going to add 2 scan steps. Come in here and scan. And basically, we're going to set this to scan as the 2 scanners we just built. So we're sure that the collection is up to date on that one. I haven't tested in a while then, where if you do the scan, if the collection is likely to have updated by the time the 2 scans finish. So if not, you might want to put a sleep in there, but we'll see if Colby has any.
The collections are supposed to update when anything reads from them, so you shouldn't need to have any sort of sleep.
Okay. All right, so that is good information. And then now I just have to remember what I named this stuff. Application access time. All right. So now what we have here is, and we're going to remove that step, it's going to come in, it's going to run the 2 scans that we ran that are building our collections. So we're ensure it's first going to update to make sure the collection that we're using as our example is up to date. And then in this case, then we'll come in, we'll do like a nested package and just set that to install Chrome, which once again, we've confirmed that Chrome's installed and not being accessed. So installing Chrome seems like a great addition to add here.
Well, if it's not, if you've got a machine with Chrome on it that's not being accessed, you should delete star.star recursively.
Yeah, that's
Start
right.
that at root.
Yep, Deltree star.star. Does Deltree even work anymore? I always use that joke, and I don't even know if it is a functioning command.
Well, I prefer Del Tray.
Deltree.
The tray.
That's sort of an inside joke.
I wrote a delete command on a Post-it and threw it at Colby's head trying to format his hard drive, and I had a typo, so he survived.
The tray.
Also, my handwriting is not legible. So we're going to come here, it's going to load the collection, and we're going to basically set the condition here, deploy that crap. We want to, if it is a member of deploy that crap, it will then run Chrome, and you could also have your like uninstall Firefox or whatever installs or nested packages, you put it in there, you just set the is a member of that collection, and that way we're using our PowerShell scanner, which can grab all that information, and we can use that to really fine-tune whether it's going to deploy to the machines that you need or not. All right, do we have any other questions? All right.
Hey, Jordan, can you use inventory to create a report of last run results of a scheduled task in Task Scheduler? Sincerely, Dean Martin.
Well, this is a high class question now. So,
You gotta have a scotch while you answer that one.
Giving the full answer to that one, I can't give in-depth detail. I can say PowerShell does have a built-in commandlet for a task scheduler where you could go and find all that information. Just off the top of my head, I couldn't build a really functioning query, I guess live like that for that one. It is possible with the PowerShell scanner. You're just going to want to look up the task scheduler commandlets that are there for PowerShell and dive into those. It should give you everything you need.
We already collect scheduled task. In the computer window, it's called Windows Task Schedules.
Let's see.
We have next runtime.
Next runtime, but not necessarily the last runtime.
Okay, so yeah, that would need to be a PowerShell scanner.
Yeah, so if next runtime is good, this one's fine for you. If you're looking for last runtime, it's just going to be diving into the commandlets the entire commandlet functionality does exist in PowerShell for you. All right, any more questions or?
Actually, we do.
Oh.
We have one more.
All right.
Hey, Jordan, can you create a scan to see if the process is running for the Adobe Acrobat Update Service? Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, for that one, there's a couple options. You could do a scan for that one, or you could put it in deploy. I guess if this one's looking for deployment itself, you can just put a PowerShell step in the deployment where it looks for that process. I don't know the name of the process off the top of my head, so it'd be hard to guess, but if we just come in here and did just get dash process, there is no filter name. And then you said, what was the question? I'll just put it like a question, Adobe update schedule. Yeah, Adobe, okay, yeah, so if this was the name of the process, this right here would come back, let you know if that process was actively running. If you wanted to then kill the process, that would just be, you could pipe that into stop process. Like so. Oh, that's an equal sign. So this one should work. You're just going to want to run the get process and search it out on a machine you know where it's running to get the full and actual name. And with that name, this right there will get the process if you want to stop it, or if there's other actions you want to take, you can then do it from there. And this could be either a PowerShell scanner where it returns the results, which that's only going to be up to date as the last scan, or you could put it as a step one of a package where if the process is there and you can't kill it, that will stop without trying to deploy so it doesn't cause issues there. All right.
Got another one, though.
Oh, another question.
Oh.
Ooh. When we're back.
And our final question. I swear, this is the last one. Are there any considerations regarding PowerShell collected information and the database size and application performance? How long is the scanned information retained? Thanks, Marcel.
So we don't retain a history of scan information. So if you have a bunch of scanners, you deleted them, the tables may still exist, and you might want to do a database cleanup to remove those tables. But as far as the information, that's going to overwrite every time you scan. So I guess it depends on what you're grabbing. If you're basically just
grabbing,
if it's a scan grabbing, gigabytes or megabytes of data, it's definitely going to balloon rather quickly. But if it's just a scan grabbing 1 or 2 bits, it's not going to be bad, and it won't be cumulative.
I'd recommend refining your your PowerShell script to only return the information that you need, because if it's returning like tens of thousands of lines, that's going to bog it down.
And also, it's with that much returned, it's hard to get useful information out of the scan anyway, so it's better, I guess, fine-tune as much as you can early.
Yeah.
All right. Camera 2 for real? All right, hopefully with this you get a couple ideas where you can go through, take your existing packages and just make them function a little bit better, so you don't have to worry if it's installing where it's supposed to. You can just kind of build that logic in with this. For PDQ.com, I'm Jordan.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, David R. and Kevin R. No relation that I'm aware of, but you are the winners of the PDQ swag. Please send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. Thanks again for joining us. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here next week.